Oh, he's the shove-it man. Oh, he's the shove-it man. He's gonna shove it. Yeah, he's gonna shove it. Man!
Alright, brick to the head brigade. Who's ready for another old school punch to the gut? Well, I sure am. It's almost time for things to drastically change on NWA TNA. I think I'm ready today. At this point, I've sat through the entire wrestling run of some real stinkers and I'm immune to bad wrestling matches. Let's see if the tide turns in our 2 episodes today. Before we start, just a quick reminder to shut up and smack that bell icon as I want to reach the Graceland of 100k subs. Also, you can threaten to rip out my feathers on Twitter and Instagram. Now let's get it on. The show starts out with Goldilocks singing the national anthem, which I was perfectly fine with because it gave me time to eat my curry. The next face we see is AJ Styles with his manager, the albino Harry Potter. He lost the X Division title to Jerry Lynn last time. AJ has a mic, which was always dangerous in the early days of TNA. He calls someone in the crowd sugar tits. Potter says that AJ has a rematch clause for his X Division title and Kid Cash will have to wait for his shot. This brings out the champion Jerry Lynn, who says it'll be a 3-way dance for the title tonight. That match sounds incredible, to be fair. First match of the night is Tony Mamaluke versus Easy Money, making his debut here. People have been raving about this guy in the comments, so I guess we're about to find out why. The match goes to the outside almost straight away with Tony hitting a suicide dive. Tony then tries a top rope dive to the outside, but Easy drop kicks him on the outside. Back in the ring, Mamaluke misses a leg drop and Easy flips into the ring to hit a clothesline. The big man hits a press body slam and tries to do a standing moonsault, but he only sort of kicks Tony with his legs. Mamaluke then fights back with a neck breaker and a leg drop from the top for a 2. The commentary team are happy that Easy is getting a shot due to his time in ECW and lack thereof in WCW. Out of nowhere, Easy wins the match as he throws Tony Mamaluke through the air with a suplex. A decent start, but it was nothing to write home about. I guess I'll have to shut up and watch what happens. Jobber Johnny Vaughan is in the ring next against Sonny, Don't Look at My Ass Siaki. It's not looking good for the Jobber because Siaki suplexes him overhead into the turnbuckle. Siaki follows it up with a pump handle suplex to the crowd chant Rocky Ripoff. Sonny continues to dominate and hits a Samoan drop, which I was completely okay with. Siaki is just messing around and hits whatever move he wants to, and then he hits the same move 3 times and the match ends. Definition of a squash match right here. We cut to a backstage interview next as Goldilocks is with the insane Brian Lawler. Goldilocks tells him that it looks like he's made up with his girlfriend April. There's a lady moaning in the background. Lawler heads into the shower to investigate and finds a topless April in the shower, saying she's in there alone and tells him to leave. Brian thinks that there's someone in there with her. You can't really blame him. The camera then shows that Miss TNA Bruce is in the shower with her. I wasn't expecting that, what the hell. Father James Mitchell heads out next. He says that he's evil when he reveals the newest addition to his new church faction. This is Belladonna. She looks very fitting for this group. She has nicer legs than Mitchell too. James Mitchell then reveals that Malice is back, who I'm pretty sure has left and returned 3 times at this point. Malice is taking on a very unusual looking jobber who looks like a combination of Brian Lawler and Shane Douglas. Malice batters him with a steel chair and then he hits a big backbreaker in the ring. Then he hits a nice overhead belly to belly and a big boot. Malice hits a choke slam, but he doesn't want the match to be over yet. He goes to the top rope and he hits a knee drop for game over. After a slightly disturbing and evil segment, they cut straight to a cage dancer happily smiling like a stepdaddy just let her sit on his lap. The next match is Jorge Estrada with Priscilla, who has a kick-ass body and a kick to the head face. He's taking on the deranged Brian Lawler with his girlfriend April. He gets a mic and asks why everyone's laughing and snickering at him. He still doesn't know that Bruce was in the shower with her. Lawler's distracted during the match as usual, so Jorge gives him a leg drop. Lawler fights back with a neck breaker. For some reason he gets a handbag and tries to hit Jorge with it, but he dodges it. He then wraps the handbag around Lawler's neck and gives him a leg drop onto it. Lawler continues fighting on with the handbag around his neck. The ladies are also fighting on the outside, and Jorge is distracted. Lawler rolls him up for the 3. In the back, a wild Slapnuts appears.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
He's moaning that he's still not had a shot at the NWA Heavyweight Championship. To be fair, everyone's had a shot but him. He was meant to be facing X-Pac, but I guess he's no-showed the match. Next week he'll be taking on BG James for the #1 contendership. Out next it's Jimmy Yang, who has Abyss's theme music, and he's ditched his Flying Elvis gear. He'll be fighting the Amazing Red. We haven't got to see Jimmy in a while because he keeps buggering off to Japan. The pace reaches insane levels quite quickly as the Amazing Red impresses as usual. Red then tries a baseball slide and it looks like Yang has it blocked, but then Red sends him into the announce table. Red tries another move, but he catches a Yang dropkick and a springboard moonsault to the outside, which turns the match. Back in the ring, Yang puts on the STF, which looks quite unusual when it's not Samoa Joe doing it. Jimmy decides that he wants to end the match now and hits a massive leg lariat, but he can only get a 2 count. Yang is working a much more calculated, calm style here. He's not a heel, but he's certainly changed his style. Yang tries to dive to the outside of the ring, but Red hits him with a dropkick. Amazing Red's now in control and he gets a 2 on a DDT. They both fight on the top rope, which ends with Amazing Red hitting the Code Red from the top, but somehow it's just a 2. Red tries to end it again with a crossbody, but Yang catches him with the knee. Yang then misses his dive, and this allows Red another chance at his dive, and he hits the infrared to end the match. Enjoyed this one. Goldilocks is backstage with BG James, who tells Jarrett to be ready for their match next week. Get it? Got it? Good. He's still trying to make that work. Slapnuts walks up to him and wishes him good luck. They shake hands and then predictably, Jeff Jarrett attacks him. What a dick. Out next, it's the SATs. You know, there's something seriously wrong with these guys. They literally have 0 personality. Are they twins? They'll be taking on 90% of you that are watching are straight, but there's 10% of you watching right now that might not be. And that's okay, because you're all together watching the Hawk talk. It's the Rainbow Express. Apparently Lenny Lane still doesn't know that Bruce was in the shower of April. Lenny starts out the match hugging Bruce as the crowd boo. Lenny's skipping around through the air like a ballerina until he gets tripped up. Lenny Lane hits that Chris Jericho facebuster from 2001, which is very fitting for him because he looks like him. Then he dives out the ring with a somersault. The Rainbow Express have been working on some new moves together, but they can't get the pin on the SAT. The SATs then set Bruce up with the moonsault leg drop combination, but Lenny Lane makes the save for Bruce. Bruce is starting to get really popular. I'm not sure why, but he is. I'm not sure that he's meant to be either. He gets a 2 on a suplex into the corner. The SAT then hits him with a top rope dropkick after being isolated for a while, and he finally manages to tag his partner in. The other SAT puts the Rainbow Express in the 69 position as the crowd erupt with happiness. The SATs then win with the Spanish Fly on Lenny Lane. In the back, Goldilocks is interviewing the half-man, half-mold. Damn, we haven't seen this guy as much recently. He talks about Don Harris hitting him last week and says that the Harris brothers are great wrestlers. This guy is a joke. The Hot Shots are out next, the team of a blonde CM Punk and a depressed version of Shane Douglas. They'll be taking on Ron and Don Harris, the Nazi brothers. If I could ever find a match I couldn't give a damn about, this would be it. The Hot Shots hit a bad-looking double hip toss. Chase Stevens tries a crossbody on the Nazis, but this doesn't look very good either. The Nazis win with the H-bomb on Cassidy O'Reilly. I almost fell asleep. They continue beating up the Shots after the match because they're bad winners, I guess. The camera just cuts away mid-beatdown and it ends. I guess even the cameraman was bored. Mold Dog storms out next, complaining about Slapnuts attacking him earlier. He asks Jarrett to come out now and fight him. Jarrett comes out and says no, so Mold Dog starts insulting Jarrett's dad. He gets onto Jarrett's mama and that's enough for Slapnuts and he charges at the dog. It then gets turned into a match on the fly for the #1 contendership. If you forgot who the world champion is at this point, it's the truth, and I don't blame you for forgetting that, he's hardly on the show. They fight in the crowd with a trash can. They literally brawl in the crowd for 10 minutes. Mold Dog goes for a table and then Jarrett finally goes back into the ring. It's completely unfair because they've been fighting in the crowd all this time, but then the ref suddenly starts trying to enforce the rules by counting Mold Dog out. Despite that, the ref counts pretty slow and he's very lenient. Dog makes it back just before the 10 count. James tries the pump handle, but Jarrett reverses it into the stroke on a chair to end the match. Again, I almost fell asleep. NWA tag titles on the line next. It's Bulldozer Brian Lee and Slash, the New Church, versus America's Most Wanted Harris and Storm. I think we've seen the last of Storm's cap guns. They get the sneak attack on the Church early on. Harris and Storm are still undefeated at this point. It's basically the same as the last match with brawling all over the arena. They eventually make it back to the ring and Slash reverses the catatonic with a DDT. Everyone's pretty much bleeding. Slash gets a 2 count on the Eye of the Storm. James Storm then gets a 2 count using the 8-second ride. I don't understand the name of this move, it certainly doesn't last for 8 seconds. The New Church try a double team drop kick into an electric chair, but it looks awful. Harris then manages to break up the pin and I'm glad it didn't end like that. Storm seems like he's won, but Belladonna distracts the referee. Slash then whacks Storm with the belt, but Storm still manages to kick out. Then there's a ref bump. AMW hit the death sentence, but the referee's still out. Belladonna gets involved again, but Storm fights her off, and then Brian Lee hits him with a spike. First of all, why did they have to bump the ref out when they were using weapons for the whole match? Secondly, first loss for AMW. And finally, new tag team champions. Just the main event left for the X Division title. Kid Cash is coming off an incredible table match last week and definitely deserves his shot. The other challenger is AJ Styles and the champion is Jerry Lynn. Lynn and Cash dropkick Styles out of the ring to start the match. Then they send him straight out of the ring again. Cash and Lynn are shaking hands, but AJ Styles breaks up the Mutual Appreciation Society off the springboard dive. Cash tries to springboard moves of his own, but Lynn drops him on his face on the ring apron. Back in the ring, Cash thinks he's got both guys in one move, but then Styles lands on his feet. Cash shuts him down with some of his famous springing off the ropes. Cash then hits another springboard with the moonsault on Lynn, but Styles breaks up the pin. Styles tries a move on Lynn in the corner, but he botches and falls on his head. First botch I've seen from AJ and TNA. Jerry Lynn then gets a 2 count of his own on DDT. There's no clear advantage here as Cash takes out Styles and then springboards to the outside to smash into Jerry Lynn. Styles doesn't want to be outdone and hits a springboard shooting star. Back in the ring, Styles suddenly gets fired up and goes nuts, and then Jerry Lynn hits him with one of the stiffest clotheslines ever seen. Later on, Cash nails that lovely move from the last video with the suplex into his knee. Then he does it again, but Styles breaks up the pin. Cash then throws Styles out the ring onto the albino Harry Potter, but as he turns around, Lynn nails him with the cradle pile driver for game over. That's a shame, I wanted Kid Cash to take the belt. Oh well, I'm sure the burnt packet of Walker's crisps at the back of your mum's cupboard won't have much longer to wait. It seems like the show is over, but of course there's still time for a wild Slapnuts to have the final say. He says a whole lot of nothing about Ron the Truth killings. Why does every show have to end like this? Oh well, on to episode 2 now. Show starts out with Mike Tenay interviewing The Truth. This match with Slapnuts is being billed as The Truth's biggest match of his career. Tenay brings up the mystery masked man Mr. Wrestling 3, but Truth says he doesn't care about him. Opening match is a few people who are making their debuts here. It's Divine Storm managed by Trinity. They're taking on the completely random team of Easy Money and Don't Look at My Ass. Easy Money hits a double clothesline from the top, stupidly taking out his own partner. Then suddenly Trinity hits a moonsault to the outside. This girl's just here doing spots with no explanation as to who she is. Of course I know who she is now, but at the time I wouldn't have had a clue. Apparently Divine Storm have trained with the SATs and they seem to have picked up a few of their moves, but unfortunately they've also picked up a lack of personality. Easy Money shows his athleticism again, taking up the black-haired boys. Siaki continues his dominance with a released pump handle suplex on the outside. Unfortunately, Trinity takes Siaki out again, this time with a Hurricanrana. Easy Money makes her pay for it with a hard clothesline. It's funny how she's completely overshadowing her team that she's supposed to be managing. Then Quiet Storm hits a diamond cutter off the top rope, which was pretty nice to be fair. Then they almost put Siaki away with a Death Valley driver. It doesn't hurt him too much though, and seconds later Siaki wins the match with the Siakalypse Now. A decent short match to be fair, it's nice to see some fresh faces. Father James Mitchell comes out next with Belladonna. He says that the new church will take the NWA Heavyweight Championship soon. It's Malice who doesn't want Belladonna to rub his arms, and Malice is taking on a cheap version of Too Cold Scorpio. Surprisingly, this guy had about 10 matches on WCWC shows. Malice hits him with a power slam, then he tries a dive from the top and completely misses, that's awkward. Malice hits a choke slam and gets the match over as quickly as he can. He's in a bad mood and starts arguing with an old man in a fishing hat, but the old man won't let him have his side. Unfortunately, Malice has been terrible in both the matches in this video. It's a shame because he had a great look. I don't see why a guy like him needs to be coming off the top rope anyway. Straight into another match, it's the SATs who have taken on Ron and Don Harris. You know how I said earlier about not caring less about a match? Well, I was wrong. The SATs get the advantage in the early going with a high flying, then they get shut down and thrown into the ring barriers. This match is a battle of twins. I cannot honestly name any single one of these guys and be completely certain that I'm calling them the correct name. One of the SATs tries a DDT from the top rope, but instead he gets sent to the outside. The best moment of the match is when one of the Nazi boys decides to fly to the outside. The Harris brothers win the match with the H-bomb, and now they're going to get a tag title shot. Great, can't wait. Now in the back, Goldilocks is interviewing the nymphomaniac April. She says that she wasn't in the shower with Bruce and it was a production trick. Goldilocks yells at her and says that she makes her sick, and then April starts crying. Bruce walks up and comforts her and tells Goldilocks that he's definitely a gay man. Lenny then walks up and says he's a fake gay man and says he must hand over the Miss TNA crown to him because he isn't gay. So Miss TNA is only for gays and women, I guess. What a weird segment this was.
I am definitely a gay guy, Goldie.
Yeah, you and Ralph Nader, Bruce.
You're a fake and a phony gay guy. You're not gay. You're straight as an arrow. And that makes me the new Miss TNA. So give me my crown, you wanna be.
Well, I haven't had my fill of weirdness because next up Mold Dog is out and he says welcome to the Baby Boys Playpen. He tries to launch into one of his promos but is interrupted by Lenny Lane, who now has Disco Inferno's music for some reason. Dog has the mic again and calls him a homophobic slur. This is one match I never expected to see.
This won't be a gay bashing. I'm just about to beat the hell out of a
Lenny keeps grinding on the dog, which makes him mad, even though he does literally the same thing whenever he hits his pump handle slam. You know, what am I even watching here? Lenny Lane versus Mold Dog. What is with these weird matchups today? Lenny tries to hit a springing moonsault, but he pretty much misses. Bruce then hits the ring and beats up his former partner and hits a pile driver. Brian Lawler runs out and attacks Bruce for stealing his girlfriend. Mold Dog pins Lenny Lane whilst this is all going on because I guess he needed help. The fun and games ain't over yet though, because April is crying at ringside and Goldilocks walks up to comfort her. She hugs and kisses her and they walk off together, despite 5 minutes earlier saying that she makes her feel sick. So I guess she's sleeping with her now. What a weird 5 minutes of TV. Three-way dance now. It's Jorge Estrada randomly taking on Crimson Dragon, and the third guy is AJ Styles. AJ takes a big time back body drop early on. Styles tries to hit the reverse DDT, but he gets Dragon super kicked. Jorge then powerbombs the Dragon and picks him up for another as AJ comes off the top with a drop kick. The Dragon then gets a 2 count on a suplex into a cutter. Jorge seems a bit short on moves tonight as he hits a third powerbomb. AJ Styles shows some nice strength next with a delayed brainbuster. Styles tries a springboard move next, but instead he gets a painful looking boot from the Dragon. It looks like Red Dragon has the match won with a double leg drop that nails both opponents. Nice, but it's still not over. Estrada then takes his turn to almost beat both men at once. Good match here. The Crimson Dragon fights back with a top rope Frankensteiner. He tries to do it again to AJ, but he reverses it with a Styles Clash from the top onto Jorge. Damn, what a great unexpected matchup. AMW are backstage threatening Jim Mitchell and the New Church. Sounds like they're getting a rematch for the titles tonight. Well, I seem to be right, because here come America's Most Wanted to take on the New Church. It's pretty similar to the last match with lots of weapon use in the early game. They do get in the ring a bit quicker and Slash gets a 2 count on a final cut. Harris is isolated for a very long time and by the time Storm gets in he's spent and has to go at it alone. Storm gets a 2 count on a swinging noose. Storm then whacks Brian Lee with a chair and Harris hits the spear but he kicks out at 2. Brian Lee wants to use the spike again but Storm kicks it away. Storm then grabs the spike and hits Brian Lee with it and the referee calls for the bell. This makes literally zero sense. They were using weapons all match. Storm gives Belladonna the 8-second ride which still doesn't make sense. The name I mean. Storm and Harris completely lose the plot and beat everyone up and it ends. We've got a good feud going here, but the weapon stuff doesn't make sense. Mike Tenay randomly interviews a very uncomfortable looking Amazing Red who says that his hero growing up was Hulk Hogan. Well, he certainly emulated his style. It's Amazing Red taking on Jerry Lynn for the X Division title. Lynn starts off the match with a nice Turtle Whirl backbreaker. This is a match of 2 guys who respect each other. Red tries to dive onto Lynn but gets caught and slammed on the apron. Lynn thinks he's going to have an easy time here but Red dives out of the ring onto him, only just missing the turnbuckle. Red, who is a fan of Rey Mysterio and Hulk Hogan, hits the 619 and tries the West Coast pop but Lynn reverses it. Maybe he should have gone for the big boot and the leg drop. Red reverses it back and hits the Code Red for a 2 count. Red follows it up with a Hurricanrana from the top but Lynn rolls through and almost beats him. Next up we get one of the coolest powerbombs I've ever seen. That was a thing of pure beauty. The match ends with the cradle pile driver off the second rope from Jerry Lynn. A great match as expected.
NWA Impact brings you the Smack of the Week, sponsored by All New Blonde for Men. If you're a brown-haired Potter, put some blonde in it. It makes you look hotter.
Oh, and it's Jerry Lynn, man. He's looking for a powerbomb and he's got Amazing Red up, but Red rolls through and now Jerry Lynn's got him from behind, but it's Amazing Red, man. He rolls through again. Wham! Powerbomb! What a powerbomb on Amazing Red, man. This guy surely is amazing.
That was the NWA TNA Smack of the Week, sponsored by Blonde Just for Men. Get it? Got it? Shove it.
Just the main event to go now. Slapnuts finally gets his shot at the NWA World Heavyweight title against Ron the Truth. Surprisingly, the crowd are right behind Jarrett here. I think I need to slap myself one. Truth hits the splits into a kick and quickly follows it up with a scissors kick, but Slappy kicks out at 2. Truth puts on the figure 4, but Jarrett turns it over, and then Truth makes the rope. Then there's a ref bump. Truth grabs a chair, but Jarrett takes it away and whacks Truth. Surprisingly, the ref instantly turns around and counts the pin, but it's only a 2. It looks so stupid. Why did he turn around straight away? Killings hits his front suplex finisher, but Jarrett slaps his foot onto the rope. Next up, it's Jarrett's turn to be disappointed as the Truth kicks out at the stroke. The fight still has a while to go yet as the fight spills to the outside. Truth dives off a balcony to put Jarrett through a table. So the question begs, why couldn't the ref see the chair shot earlier? It's so inconsistent. Then there's another ref bump. Both men are down injured. Suddenly a stupid white hoodie man appears in the ring. He has a guitar and teases who he's going to hit with it. Eventually he hits the truth with the guitar. The referee wakes up and counts the pin, and Jarrett wins his first ever title in TNA. Historic moment right here. Get used to seeing this image, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this. The white hoodie man then reveals himself to be Vince Russo, and Mike Tenay isn't very happy about this.
Oh shit! It's Vince Russo! What the hell is this all about? It's Vince Russo!
I think things are going to change on the TNA show going forward. This video was a bit shorter than I expected. There really isn't that much to say, it's just mostly a bunch of wrestling. But that's going to change with Russo here, because his story of the SEX faction is going to take up so much of the show going forward. I mean, from my perspective as a reviewer, it gives me more to talk about, so I'm not going to complain. And if you do, you'll take a brick to the brain. Don't call me insane, because if you don't like Vince Russo's head, I'll put you in the bin like bread.